Hi there, Amit here for Advisors Media, and in this video we are going to review the all-new Samsung Galaxy S4. I have been using this smartphone from the past few weeks, and this review would be based on the usage of this smartphone and also would compare the same with the other smartphones right now available in the market. So let's get started with the same. So talking about the form factor first, the device looks pretty similar to the Samsung Galaxy S3, as you can see here. It's actually smaller than the S3 when you talk in terms of the form factor, but actually the display has been increased up to 5 inches and the device is a little bit lighter, not very light, actually just 3 grams lighter, but comes packed with many other features, and not just in the form of hardware but also in the form of software. So when you talk about the sensors, as you can see here on the top, you have extra sensors on the Samsung Galaxy S4 and comes packed in a very good form factor, which is more squarish, while the last smartphone had a lot of more curves. So that is something which you need to make a note of. And apart from that, the smartphone comes with a 13 megapixel camera, which is a pretty good upgrade. Now if you already own a Samsung Galaxy S3, I wouldn't suggest you to go for the Samsung Galaxy S4 because there is not much which is actually increased in this smartphone, and more of these are actually in the form of the software updates and few dedicated applications related to these all sensors. Now let me just talk about the battery. So the main reason most of the users actually prefer Samsung smartphones, or most of the smartphones which come with removable batteries, the case wherein you can actually open up the back cover and replace the battery by adding higher capacity batteries, or even adding different cases or covers like the Samsung Galaxy's S View cover, which actually adds up with some smart features wherein you can just make your phone into sleep mode by just opening or closing this flip cover. So these are few of the advantages, and apart from that, the smartphone comes with also a slot which supports up to 64 GB of SD card storage, which is an added benefit, while this was not available in few other smartphones like the recently launched LG Nexus 4, which also doesn't allow you to add up more memory to your smartphone. So that is something which you need to make a note of before buying your next smartphone. Overall, the build-up is again made up of plastic, which generally doesn't give you a strong or durable feeling, but again the plastic is sometimes useful because whenever you drop this phone, the back cover actually opens out and the damage to the device is generally lower than what you get in the cases of the Apple iPhone 5 or any other device which is made out of a lot of glass on the external body. So that is something which you need to make a note of. And again, the S View cover is something which I would actually suggest most of the users to go and buy it, because you're obviously just adding up this amount of thickness to a device and not a whole flip cover, because this is just replaced with the back cover which you already get with the device, and you're just adding the front cover which would actually save the screen in case of any dropping, and also ensure that you don't have a lot of smudges on your front glass, because most of the time you can answer and receive the calls directly this way, and it's quite easy to use. So that is something about the S View cover, which is an additional accessory which you need to buy from the Samsung's website. Now talking about the improvements, actually you can find that the device is a little bit slimmer when compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3, and is also lighter, again not with a very high difference, but obviously it's lighter than the earlier version and has a lot of improved sensors. Now we will be talking about these in the due course of this video. Let's just proceed with other stuff, like you can actually do a lot of one-hand operations with this smartphone because it's easy to move from top to the bottom this way, unlike this is something which is hard on the Samsung Galaxy Note or Note series, because it's quite bigger than what you would generally be able to access with one hand or your thumb. And at those situations, the Note has got a feature pack update wherein you could use the features of the one-hand operation options. Now talking about the settings area, let me just give you a quick overview of the same. By default, you get a list of small shortcuts here which you can move around this way, and you get a new option here which shows you a list of all the different notification options available for your smartphone. Now that is something which is very interesting, because you get access to all the most important and useful shortcuts directly here itself. You can also tap here and adjust what all applications which you would generally use regularly into the first screen this way, and they would be swapped. So let's say I use Bluetooth regularly, I could just swap it with the GPS. I don't need the sound option, but I need the power saving mode regularly. I can just swap that, and it's as easy as that, and you can find those options to be available right away here itself. So that's about the notification panel, which is actually quite useful and can be customized very easily. Talking about the other stuff, as you can see, this phone comes with a 441 ppi, which offers you with very brilliant display on this Super AMOLED 1080p display, and the viewing angles are also pretty good. Let me just give you a quick demo of the same by playing some video on this smartphone. So overall the viewing angles are pretty good, so which makes it easy to watch videos even though if you're watching them in a group, and the display also helps the device to give better outputs. So that's about the viewing angles here. Apart from that, the device has got pretty high benchmark scores when we had earlier done the benchmark results for this smartphone, and you can also find the results here itself. It's 28,333, and also on the different benchmarks applications like the standard quadrant or few other apps, we actually found that this device has got into the top of the charts by getting into the range of about 20,000 on the Antutu and respective scores on other applications. So in terms of the processing speeds and the hardware, the device beats all of the smartphones right now available in the market in terms of the benchmark scores. Now let's get to the other stuff. Like, because of these high benchmark scores, you can easily ensure that you can do multitasking easily on the smartphone, and you can run multiple applications at the same time which are actually running in the background. So that is something which is generally useful to you, and again the 2GB RAM on this smartphone helps you in order to manage all this stuff. Overall the viewing angles are pretty good. Let me just run a video from the YouTube website and show you a demo of the same. Now the video is actually playing. And the sound output is also pretty great. So overall the viewing experience is pretty good on the smartphone, along with the pretty decent sound output. It's actually on the max right now, and that's about the viewing angles. Now let's proceed with the other features on the smartphone. Now when you talk about the sensors which come onto this device, you get accelerometer, barometer, temperature checker, and few other sensors which are generally useful on different applications, like the walking mate application, which uses the accelerometer in order to track the different steps which you walk every day, and also the barometer, which checks for the pressure, weather change alerts, and shows you in the form of the weather widgets applications. And there's also a IR sensor on the top, which actually shoots signals to the televisions or set-top boxes and allows you to easily handle the same. You can do that by running the specific application for the same, and that's actually the watch on application, using which you can actually handle your normal TVs or even your set-top box and few other devices along with the same. So that's the watch on application. Apart from that, the device comes with 2600 mAh of battery, which is pretty high compared to what the other smartphones are currently coming up with, and this offers you with pretty high battery backup. But again, you also have a feature of power saving, which once enabled, the battery would actually last for a longer period, and which actually gives you with a better usage timing. And all these features would be enabled or disabled once you enable the power saving mode. So as you can see here, everything is mentioned here. it would actually limit the maximum performance of the CPU, uses low power level for screen, turns off the haptic feedback, which is generally by default we would disable it, but still it would actually disable it when you enable the power saving mode. So these are few of the features which are generally enabled once you enable the power saving mode. Let me just go to the battery and show you the current usage. So it has gone down by 25% from the last 3 hours, and that's mainly because I had a lot of voice calls, somewhere around 36 minutes on voice calls. The screen was actually on for 33 minutes, and few other applications were running in the background. Now let's get to the next feature, which is actually the camera. The Samsung Galaxy S4 comes with a pretty good camera that's around 13 megapixel on the back and 2 megapixel on the front, and one of the most important feature of this camera is that you can run both of these cameras at the very same time using the features which come pre-installed onto the camera application. I will be showing you a demo of the same later on. First, let me just show you a quick capture which was just made using this camera. So as you can see, this picture was actually captured using the Samsung Galaxy S4, and this can give you a clear demo on how the actual output is. This was actually captured at the airport, and that can give you a clear idea on how the actual output is. So as you can see here, we have a lot of details here. There are a lot of people at this airport, and let me just try to zoom here, and still the picture is pretty good. It's not totally blurred away, but when you zoom into more, then the picture starts losing the quality. So overall the camera is pretty decent enough. I won't say it's something extraordinary, because I was actually expecting this to be at par with the Sony's Xperia Z camera, which I personally feel is giving me better outputs when I compare it in the real time. And the feature which I was actually referring to earlier is the dual mode feature, wherein you can make use of both the cameras, that's the front and the back camera, at the very same time. So that can be actually attained by using this feature here. So as you can see here, there are some issues actually with the Samsung Galaxy S4, wherein whenever you run the camera application, the device would actually reboot, and that is something which you need to make a note of before actually purchasing this device. There was a single firmware update recently happened on this smartphone, but that has not actually fixed this issue. Even though there are no heating issues, but this specific issue has been happening to us regularly. Whenever we are running the camera application, the device actually reboots. So let me just again go back to the camera application once the device gets started, and then show you a demo of the same. So now we are on to the camera application. Let me just enable the dual camera mode, and here we go. Now it's actually on. Here we have the option to change the layout, so you can enable different effects, capture 2 pictures at the very same time, that's one with the front and one with the back. So that's something which is considered to be first in the industry. But apart from that, overall the output from this camera is pretty decent for the 13 megapixel sensor. Apart from that, the device comes with a TouchWiz UI, which is pretty decent, and if you have been a Samsung user, then this is something which you would be generally familiar with. It's something different with the stock Android UI, but this is something which you get. Overall it's pretty good, it's pretty decent, easy to use, but sometimes you may find that this is having a lot of clutter which comes pre-installed in the form of applications which are pre-installed onto this device. Talking about the applications which come pre-installed, there is a very interesting application which is called the Story Album, which comes pre-installed onto this device. It is actually a flipbook style photos gallery application, wherein you can create an album based on different photos which you have actually downloaded or captured from your smartphone, and following which you can create a complete album on this smartphone. So that is about the Story Album. There is also a feature called Group Share, wherein you can play and share content whenever you have similar type of multiple devices at the very same time. Apart from that, there is also this important application, that is the S-Health application, wherein you get different options, like you can manage your health By recording all the information, you can have a software to make a note of all your exercise, track your food habits by inserting all your regular data, following which everything would be logged and would be updated here. So this is my weight, which I had actually updated manually. So there are a few of these specific applications which come pre-installed on this smartphone, which are pretty good and are pretty useful also once in a while, like the walking log application, which is generally useful because I have been using this smartphone from few weeks and it has actually logged all the data and gives us a complete report on the same. So let me just show you a demo of the same. Let's go to the walking mate. This is the report for today, this is for yesterday, day before yesterday, and so on and so forth. Now let's go to the statistics. Let's go for 7 days, and here we go. So this gives you a clear impression on your actual walking habits, and this is something which is recorded automatically and you don't have to even set up anything except setting it up for the very first time. So that's another interesting application which comes pre-installed onto the Samsung Galaxy S4. Now talking about the pricing, the smartphone is priced at around 41,500 rupees in the Indian market, while it's actually available at around 39,000 in the local stores, which again I personally feel is pretty high considering the fact that it's a very small upgrade to the Samsung Galaxy S3 and not a huge upgrade. So this is something which you get, and I personally feel that the pricing is generally high as of now. And if you're planning to upgrade your smartphone from any other smartphone to the Galaxy S4, I would suggest you to wait for another 1 or 2 months to see if there is another huge price drop, and following which if you can get this smartphone around 30,000 rupees. Apart from that, if you're planning to upgrade from a very low end smartphone, then this is something which I would actually recommend you to go for because of the form factor, the features which come pre-installed with it, the large battery, pretty decent camera, and the TouchWiz UI which is easy to handle, and few of these smart applications which come bundled onto the smartphone. So this was a detailed review of the Samsung Galaxy S4. Stay tuned on Advices Media for more videos like this, and we are also giving away brand new Samsung Galaxy S4, not this unit but a brand new unit. So check out the link on the description area below to know more about the same. Thanks for watching. Stay subscribed to Advices Media for more.